Ravens flock, what's going on? I'm catching you here on what is definitely a bittersweet victory Friday. Obviously, we beat the Cincinnati Bengals last night, 34-20 on Thursday Night Football. But in the process, like we just had a lot of devastating moments, and then just in some cases, just a really scary close call moments. The most devastating moment, of course, is Mark Andrews is pretty much all but confirmed that he's done for the season. I was holding out hope that maybe it was something not too serious to where he could come back towards the end of the playoff run, because when I noticed John Harbaugh, when he kept explaining the situation, he never truly confirmed that Mark was done. He just kept saying it's likely that he's done for the season, but I'm just now seeing a report come out from the website Deadspin alleging that they already ran an MRI on Mark, and it's showing that he has a cracked fibula, and also he may have ankle ligament damage. So I don't know much about I don't know much about that type of damage, and how long it takes to recover from that, because even now they're still saying that he still has to consult with the doctor to actually get more insight on how long it'll take to recover and all that. But at this point, it definitely seems unlikely. I mean, maybe, you never know, we could hope for a miracle that he could come back towards the end of the playoff run, but again, it's extremely unlikely. The main reason I was still holding out hope was also because when I was watching the game, just seeing him walk off the field was at least making me think, hey, maybe it's not too bad, because some people were alleging that he like broke his ankle or something, and I'm just like, there's no way he could put weight on a broken ankle. Like, I don't know if you guys have ever had an ankle injury before, but it is very painful. And walking on it is just almost impossible unless you're just either on pain meds or if you're just simply that tough. But at the same time, if they're saying he cracked the fibula and has ligament damage, I don't know. Maybe that's just as bad, and maybe Mark is just simply that tough to where he just still is able to just walk on it and go with the adrenaline and be able to just thug it out. But that's still just heartbreaking to hear, obviously, especially when you feel like we all feel like this is our year. Like, it would definitely. I still think we have a amazing chance to win the Super Bowl, but that would definitely be another bittersweet moment to where it's like we're not gonna be able to see a Mark Andrews touchdown in the Super Bowl. Like we're gonna have to do this without Mark Andrews on the field. That's definitely gonna be tough. But also, Lamar took a nasty hit in the game. Partially, it's on Lamar because, again, Lamar has a similar issue to Patrick Mahomes, where they're so used to making these crazy circus plays and being like Superman, to where in many instances it almost seems as though they're just too stubborn to just let the play die and throw the ball out of bounds. That definitely was the case in that moment, to where he should have definitely thrown the ball out a few seconds earlier and just let it go. And he did, as the game went on, when he got into similar situations, like actually did the right thing and threw it out earlier. But still, nonetheless, Logan Wilson, who was the same dirty player that got Mark Andrews with that potentially season-ending injury, he also got Lamar. Luckily for Lamar, he kind of like, it was an angle that wasn't too bad, to where Lamar kind of was able to wiggle away from it, and he was stung up a bit, but he wasn't as hurt as Andrews. And then also Logan Wilson again had another dirty hit on Odell towards the end of the game. And I usually don't wish injuries on people, but I'm definitely hoping somebody blows Logan Wilson's knee out. Cause then also when I was talking to somebody else who was a Seahawks fan, they were already complaining and saying how, yeah, he tried the same stuff on Geno Smith a couple weeks ago. So it's like, you talking about somebody who just has a track record of these dirty, dangerous hits. Like, he knows what he's doing. But as far as like the Cincinnati side, they took a couple injuries too, most notably Joe Burrow. In the case of Joe Burrow, he was already hurt. Like, they're trying their hardest not to admit it, but everybody already seen the screenshots from the video of him of when he landed and he was getting ready for the game, when he was coming in and he had that brace on his hand. He was hurt all season essentially. He had a compromised calf muscle. And then on top of that, when he played us, there was also a moment early in the season in week 2 where he landed awkwardly and like his elbow, his like left elbow or something was kind of bugging him, and I remember he was flexing it in a weird way. And now on top of that, coming into this game, somehow he already was dealing with pain in his hand or wrist or whatever. And now without even really suffering contact, because I don't think the Jadeveon Clowney hit had anything to do with that. I think that in general, just literally the throw that he was put it on Mixon that ended up being a touchdown. I just think that strained his hand and his wrist one too many times to the point where he just couldn't take it anymore and he couldn't grip the ball anymore. And so I saw news earlier today that he's pretty much done for the season too, to where there's some type of, ligament damage in his wrist, so he can't go out there. So again, the game as a whole just felt like a slugfest. Like at the end of the day, I'm still just happy we came out on the winning end of it and we were able to just handle business. There was still definitely some bright spots in this moment, even though, I can't stop thinking about Mark. But, Zay Flowers had a couple of big plays, one being like a 33-yard catch, and then one being what should have been a 68-yard touchdown before they called that BS holding call on Odell, which made them bring it back. But then also Nelson Aguilar, he ended up getting a big play off of that because like there was a tipped pass. There was a tipped pass that was intended for Likely that just literally just landed in the hands of Aguilar. And shout out to him for having like the awareness to be able to just, without losing a step, just cradle that thing, like just pull that ball in and just sprint towards the end zone. As much as we've seen receivers like have mishaps this year with drops and stuff, it was definitely nice to see a moment of luck and the ball bounce in our favor. Odell definitely shined in this game. He had 4 catches for 116. He didn't get any touchdowns. He almost had one. Like Lamar threw a pass for him in the end zone. I feel like that Odell would have had it if he would have like tried to reach out with 2 hands, but at the same time, his left hand was kind of caught behind the defender on the Bengals who was guarding him. But he still had some great moments. He had that one nice move where it was just like a 6-yard pass, but he did like some crazy move I can't even really describe. Just kind of just shook him in a way and then like just stiff arm him and spun out of it and gained like 20 off of that. So he definitely was locked in today, and I guess that's not too much of a surprise because this was even though Thursday night games aren't considered primetime, it's still basically a primetime game. And Odell being like the big name and starter he is, he definitely I assume that as we get more primetime games towards the end of the year, that he's gonna want to show out a lot more. So it was definitely nice to see him like take advantage of the opportunity. Rashad Bateman got his first touchdown of the season. That was nice to see. He didn't get targeted too much in this game. I'm assuming Rashad Bateman is definitely going to get more targets as the next couple weeks go because, we don't have Andrews to lean on anymore. But one of the passes, even though he only caught one out of 2 of the targets, one of the targets, it was just like, it was a deep pass that would have easily been like, I think like a 50-yard touchdown or something like that. Like Lamar put it right on the money. Rashad Bateman beat his man. It was perfect, but again, credit to, I forgot the guy's name on the Bengals. I think his last name was like Britt or something like that. Like he literally made a perfect play on the ball and just swatted it out at the last second. It made me think about last year when we played the New Orleans Saints, where Morgan Moses caused Lamar to fumble and Lamar chased the ball down and then scrambled and then threw like a 60-yard pass on a rope, like put it on a rope, and it went 60 yards to Deshaun Jackson. And Deshaun was in the perfect position to get it. He was about to grab it, but the defender on the Saints just swatted it out at the last second. It gave me that same sort of feeling. We felt so close, and we all know how hard this offense has been trying to really break loose and like get more of these explosive big plays. So that was definitely tough to see. But then also later in the game, like Lamar completed a 50-yard pass to Odell. So it's definitely nice to see that we are pushing the ball down the field, taking those shots. And it seems as though there is a synergy starting to form with Lamar and these receivers on these deep passes, especially at least in this game, obviously, because Lamar was on point with these passes. It just didn't work out, obviously. Gus Edwards put up a solid game. He only had 62 yards, but he averaged 5.2 a carry and had 2 touchdowns. Keaton Mitchell got more touches in this game. He had 8 carries for 33 yards, and then he also got 1 target for 8 yards. So it still was a good situation. They still played Justice Hill way more than I was expecting him to. Like, he was in a lot more snaps than I was expecting him to be in. And I'm still trying to figure out what is it about Justice that Todd Monken likes so much. Like, he's not a bad running back, but it's still just mind-blowing because clearly Gus and Keaton need to be that 1-2 punch. But again, I don't know. Maybe he thinks Justice is better at pass protection. I'm not exactly sure, but either way, it is what it is. We didn't have any mishaps. That's really all that matters in this game. We didn't have any fumbles. We didn't have any interceptions, anything like that. Like, despite it being a slugfest, we still played as clean a game as we possibly could have. Isaiah Likely, he got into the game. He had a drop, unfortunately. Like, it just went right through his hands. But like, I'm assuming he's gonna get more opportunities. Him and Charlie Kolar are gonna get more opportunities over the next couple weeks. The play that Mark Andrews unfortunately got hurt on, they're calling it a fumble. I don't agree with that, but it is what it is. As far as the defensive side of the ball, our defense played fairly well, but for whatever reason, it seems as though it seems like we don't have a run defense, which is so interesting because I'm just like, this is the worst running team in the NFL, and we just let them put up 136 yards on us. The Browns last week, they don't have Nick Chubb, but just with Kareem Hunt and Jerome Ford, they put up like 130 on us. A couple weeks back when we played the Colts, Zach Moss, he put up like 130 on us. Like, so it does definitely seem like there's a chink in the armor when it comes to our run defense, but nonetheless, our defense as a whole held up pretty well. Ronald Darby, he made a pretty good play on the ball on what would have been a 3rd and 5 conversion. I was very excited to see that. Marcus Williams made more tackles than I was expecting him to make, considering he's still basically out there with like one good arm. PQ and Roquan, they played pretty solid games. PQ, I think, shined more in the second half. Justin Madubuike got another sack, so he's half a sack away from being in double-digit sacks, which is exciting because it's been a long time since we've had somebody put up those type of numbers. Like, I know a couple years ago, Matt Judon, maybe like one season before he left, he had 9.5. I know Justin Houston obviously had 9.5. I'm pretty sure Zadarius Smith right before he left had 9.5. But to see somebody on our team cross 10 is definitely exciting. I'm definitely looking forward to that. Odafe Owe, he got another sack in this game. He's definitely starting to really get into a groove. Like, he got 4 sacks on the year. I can't remember off the top of my head how many games always played, but still, it seemed like he's on a warpath. Jadeveon Clowney got like 6.5 sacks. He's on a warpath, looking like he's about to break his career high. Kyle Van Noy has like freaking 6 sacks himself. Like, we didn't generate any turnovers, but in general, I still feel as though our defense still held up as much as they could. And then we also contained Jamar Chase. He only had 2 catches for 12 yards and a touchdown, and that touchdown came in garbage time. Really, we blew them out. Like, the game, it was really 34-13, but obviously they got that late garbage time touchdown. So it is what it is. We also kept Tyler Boyd in check as well. And then you could also argue that may be a big reason why we ended up giving up so many rushing yards is because we were basically selling out to try to stop any big explosive plays from happening because that's their bread and butter. Just like you could argue that in the first half, it seemed like they were trying their hardest to stop us from running, which caused us to definitely, take more shots down the field and, pass a lot more in the first half compared to the second half. But either way, this is definitely just a tough game. Like, I'm happy we still won, obviously, because look, now We've got the Bengals out the way. Their season is even if Burrow was still able to play at 5-5 in the AFC, their season's pretty much done. Pittsburgh and Cleveland, they play each other on Sunday, so they're gonna cannibalize themselves, and either way, regardless of whichever one of them wins, that's gonna knock another one further back. That also, so we're gaining a little more separation in the AFC North and the AFC as a whole. If the Eagles can beat the Chiefs on Monday night, all of a sudden we're like tied, or I don't even think we might be tied. I think we might have the tiebreaker. So then we would just have the first seed in the AFC. So we still have a lot to be excited about. We still can power through this. We still are headed in the right direction. There's still a lot to be excited about. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. Do you think Logan Wilson is a dirty player? And do you think if after Mark Andrews talks to a doctor, if he says it's not too serious, do you think there's a chance maybe Mark can come back towards the end of the playoff run? And let me know where do you think we're gonna go from here, as far as who do you think we're gonna get the most targets to now that Mark Andrews is not gonna be there to get a bunch of the targets.